All right. We're looking good. Let's get started, shall we? All right. So, we're going to talk about buying property in North Carolina. Okay. And uh, the value of it and the importance of it. And maybe it's not for everybody, but let's walk through it. Now, one thing to be aware of, um, at our team, we sell a lot of real estate. Now, the biggest thing you want from a real estate agent is them to be not a salesperson. Anybody here ever deal with a salesperson? Did you have a good experience? Or were they out to sell you whatever they wanted to sell you? So, our job is the exact opposite of that. We're consultants. We're your fiduciary. We put your needs above ours. That's very, very, very important. So when it comes to buying a house or getting a mortgage, our job is to be your fiduciary and make sure you have all the information you need. So therefore, you get the answers you need to be able to make the best decision for you. Okay. Be aware that 70% of agents didn't sell a house in 2025, didn't sell one. So there's a 70% chance you're going to talk to an agent that doesn't do this at a high level. And all we care about is, from a buyer standpoint, have the seller pay the commission and get an agent to help you with your home buying process. Okay. Now, why is it important to buy a house? So I'm going to show this up on here. There's a calculator that you can download. This is a mortgage calculator. I'll leave it up for a second because we want to make sure that you can make the best decision for you with the data that we have. Okay. So scan this and you can download the calculator. And then we're going to go through a form. And it's the dream of home ownership. Okay. Now I chose a $300,000 house to show you guys this exercise. Okay. Let me get out of this. Perfect. So what you need to know is on a $300,000 house, okay, the mortgage payment with taxes and insurance and everything in Greensboro or in our area, that's going to cost you around $2,100 a month. $2,100 a month. Okay. So the average renter has a net worth of $5,000, and the average homeowner has a net worth of over $230,000. That's because owning a home becomes a forced savings account. Let me say that again. Owning a home becomes a forced savings account. Let me show you how that happens. If you buy a house at $300,000, it's going to have an average appreciation of 4%, which means it's going to go up $12,000 between this year and next year. Okay. Between this year and next year, it's going to go up $12,000. So you gain that. That's yours. You get that $12,000. Also, if you put down just 3% on a mortgage, so if a mortgage balance of $289,500 at 7% interest over 30 years, you will also pay down principal on that $289,500 of $2,941. Now I'm curious, how much of your rent is going towards buying the house? How much rent are you going to have saved at the end of the year? The answer is none, right? You're not going to have any. Now, the great news is over the course of the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, that mortgage payment is fixed for 30 years at $2,100. Do you think you're going to have more income in the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, but that mortgage stays the same? It doesn't go up. Do you think if you rent, your rent is going to go up every year? My bet is it will. My bet is it will. But again, this fixes your cost on a home set. So as you get raises, as the cost of living goes up, that mortgage will become cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Now, you also get another benefit. You get tax savings. You get to write off all the repairs and the interest off your taxes when you own a home. The federal government wants you to own a home. So not only do you get principal pay down and appreciation, you also get tax savings. So when I add up the annual appreciation of $12,000, the principal debt pay down that you're actually paying down on your mortgage of $2,941, and the potential tax savings that you get to write off, take back off your taxes, itemized, is $4,438. That's $19,379 of savings year one. Year one. Now, every year this goes up because you're going to be paying more principal down. You're going to have 4% appreciation on the $12,000. So it just starts to snowball the other direction. And again, how much of your rent payment do you have left at the end of the year? The answer is none. You have none of it left at the end of the year. So this forces you, and when you own a home, to immediately having savings, which is great, which is amazing, right? And in 4 or 5 years, if you choose to sell, you get all these benefits. Or if you decide to hold on to it, again, that mortgage payment is fixed at a fixed price, at a fixed rate. So does that make sense? This is the value of home ownership. Even buying the stock market, you only get one increase in value, whereas when you own homes, you get several. Okay? All right. Now, let's talk about the home buying process. The first thing we have to do in the home buying process, all right, is get you pre-qualified for a mortgage. Ironically, everybody thinks that they need to find the house first, when in fact, you need to get a mortgage first. But let's even see if it makes sense. So what we look for now is your needs analysis. How many bedrooms? How many baths? Do you need a certain school district? Do you have hobbies? Do you need to collect all sorts of stuff? What do you need in this home? What do you want in this home that you don't have in your current place? For example, if you're renting, do you want a yard? Do you want a fence? Do you want a garage to work on a car? So we need to walk through to help you find the best possible house, the best possible price. The first step is we have to actually know exactly what you're looking for, how big a bedroom is for you, how much closet space you need. All those things become factors before we even do anything else. Let's see what kind of house you want to buy. Okay. Then comes the mortgage process. Again, you're trying to buy a house and get a mortgage. Those are two separate things that work together. And a great agent will help you navigate both of them so that you get a great deal on a house and you get a great deal on a mortgage. Because when you shop for a mortgage rate, you get a better deal. Most people don't know that. That's why using a great agent can help you with that. So we need you to get first to a lender who will get you pre-approved for a mortgage. There are lots of first-time homebuyer credits out there. There's up to $20,000 to $30,000 of down payment assistance available out there. There's VA loans for veterans. There's USDA loans for people who want to live in the country that all have 100% financing. There's lots and lots of ways to finance a home, and there's lots and lots of options on that. Okay? So we need you to get with a lender before we actually start shopping for houses to get comfortable what you're comfortable paying per month and you're comfortable putting down. Now, we'll tell you, we tell every buyer, even if you're doing 100% financing, even if you're getting 100% loan because you're getting down payment assistance, you need at least $2,000 to $3,000 of your own money, even if you're getting 100% financing, because you have to pay for things, which I'll discuss later, like an appraisal, an inspection. You have to give the seller what's called due diligence money. It's a non-refundable deposit. So we need those funds. You'll need $2,000 to $3,000 minimum to get into the house, even if you qualify for 100% financing. Very, 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 very important thing. Okay. Now, if you want, you can download our app for iPhone, or you can download for Android our Brivity Go app. You can see those on the screen, okay? Because, and we'll also give you backdoor access to the MLS so that you can search for homes. We're going to show you houses that are actively on the market right now in what's called our MLS, the multiple listing service. So you'll see everything that's on the market. We also reach out to for sale by owners on your behalf to see if any of those meet your criteria. Now, foreclosures is an interesting one. Everybody thinks they want a foreclosure. Foreclosures are a challenge for first-time buyers because you have to buy a property sight unseen. You don't get to look inside the property. You don't get to see what's wrong with it. You don't get to do any of that. So you're making a guess as far as how much you want to offer on that property, right? And most foreclosures, they're in foreclosure because the seller has not been able to maintain the house. So generally, foreclosures need a fair amount of work. Now, banks, when they buy back foreclosures and put them on the market, that's not quite the same. We're talking about foreclosures that you can go to the courthouse steps and make an offer on. Now, realize you don't have to even go to the courthouse steps anymore because they have a 10-day automatic upset bid period on it. So you can go look at the house. Sorry, can't look at the house. You can go look at the bids online after the foreclosure date, and you have 10 days to make a 5% higher upset bid. And foreclosures can take 2, 3, 4 months sometimes to get the foreclosure bids going, to get up to where somebody's willing to pay for it. But there again, they're buying it sight unseen, no inspection, no appraisal, and we don't know what's wrong with it. So we don't recommend that for first-time buyers that we look at foreclosures. Even though you think like they're a deal, they're not always a deal. They're not always a deal. Then we're also going to look at off-market properties, things that have expired, withdrawn, things that you don't know about. Then there's new construction. If you go to a new construction home site or home place, realize they work for the builder. They don't work for you. So you got to be careful. So we always recommend you give out our name, our phone number to the builder's agent, because they won't tell you about all the incentives they have. They won't tell you all the options because they work for the builder. Their job is to get the builder the most money possible. So if you're not choosing us, choose an agent and put down their name and phone number if you walk into a new construction neighborhood. Okay? Very, very important. So we'll look at all these avenues as ways to help you find homes and have homes come to your inbox every single morning when you're looking. So you don't have to spend your time on Zillow unless you just love doing that, or Realtor.com. By the way, if you're going to use an online site, use Realtor.com. They're the most accurate and most detailed compared to our MLS. Okay. Now, once you find the home, the big question is, well, how much should I pay? Right? It's always the question. Like, how do I know what it's worth? I know what they're asking, but can I get a deal on the property? And that's where a great agent will come in and help you, because we look at market stats, market inventory, and market information to best decide that. So what we're going to look at is things like the market overview. How many months supply of inventory are there on the market? Anything less than 4 months supply, anything less than 4 months, it's a seller's market. Anything more than 4 months, it's a buyer's market. We're going to look at the average list price, how much they're listing it for, versus how much the sales price will be for. How much is the average? And right now it's around 2% below the list price to sales price ratio. Also, a big one's called days on market. How many days has the home been on the market? Right now, the average days on market in our area is 48 to 50. Well, if a home's only been on the market 1 or 2 or 3 days, do you think that seller's ready to take 20 or 30 grand less for that property? Of course not. Of course they're not. So we need to make sure that we're looking at days on market to know what we should do. And then we're going to try and show you 3 active properties that you compete with, 3 pending properties, and 3 sold properties, so that we can compare the current house you're looking at compared to these to see if it's priced appropriately or not. And then let me show you what data looks like. So this is just an example of what the data can look like. So days on market, all right, month supply of inventory is 3. Days on market is 67. This was in all of Guilford County. This was pulled last month. Okay, but your zip code or where you're looking for a house will be specific to your area. So we'll pull this data for every single category or every property so we know what we're looking at. So actives, it's 67 days on market. Solds, it was 60 days on market. And 98% list price to sales price ratio. So they're getting about 2% off. So in a $300,000 house, you can expect to get around $6,000 off if it's been on the market for more than 67 days. If it's been on the market less than 67 days, generally the seller's getting more what they're asking for than not. And again, we'll walk you through all these pieces and parts every time we're looking at a house. So you see the comparison between what's on the market and what house you're looking at, so we can help make you make the best decision possible. In order to do that, you have to sign what's called buyer agency with us. In the state of North Carolina, and you can't read all that, it's going to be short, but there's a buyer agency agreement that you have to sign. In North Carolina, every agent is in the default position of working for the seller. So you've got to be very, very careful, because if you don't hire us as your buyer's agent, we actually work for the seller. So we'll show you a property and we're actually representing the seller, trying to get the seller the most money possible. Now, fees for buyer's agents is anywhere from 2 to 3% of the purchase price. The seller has generally offered a commission to the buyer's agent for bringing a buyer. So generally, you're not paying that commission. However, in our case, for example, on my team, our commission is 3%. If the seller's offering 2.5%, we ask you to cover the difference of that extra 0.5% to cover our fee. But it's always negotiable. The fees are always negotiable. But you want to hire a buyer's agent to represent you, because otherwise we work for the seller and we want to work for you, negotiate the best terms, the best price for you. So we want you to hire us. And again, we only get paid our fee if we close on the property and you're happy and you're excited about moving into your new place. Because the other challenge that you have to get through is, this is called professional services disclosure. These are all the people, and there's 2 pages of people that can be involved in real estate transaction. And if you don't know all these people, then you need us to help you with that. So we have plenty of attorneys, home inspectors, roof inspectors, HVAC specialists, radon inspectors, septic inspections, pest inspections, all the things that you would need when purchasing a home. We know all those vendors that we can put you in touch with. We'll also use a vendor if you've got somebody that you love and you know, we'll gladly use your vendor. We don't care. We just know that you need all these things to be addressed in buying a house. It's about 145 things that need to be done. And we'll walk you through all the inspections that are needed on a house. Okay? It's very, 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 very important. So we don't need any of these people until we go under contract. Okay? And going under contract, then money is owed. Okay? Let's talk about that process a little bit. Okay? You have found a house. You've gotten pre-approved for a mortgage, so you're comfortable there. Okay? Now we've shown you comparable properties. Now you're making an offer. Let's look at that process, shall we? So you got to make an offer. So we decided on this $300,000 house, we're going to make an offer of $295 or $292 or $293. Doesn't matter, right? We got to negotiate terms. And then once the offer gets accepted, we move forward with getting an appraisal and an inspection done. In order to do that, though, there's this thing called a due diligence fee and due diligence period. The due diligence period doesn't start until the seller accepts our offer. Okay? And during due diligence, we have the right to inspect the property, get our inspection done, get our appraisal done, and get our loan completely finalized, which takes about three to 4 weeks. Okay? It takes about 3 to 4 weeks to get that done. And we also will give the seller 2 deposits. 2, not 1, but 2. One is called a due diligence fee. It is a non-refundable deposit, and I'm going to use a graphic term here, so that we get to hold the house hostage for 2 or 3 weeks while we're getting our inspection and our appraisal done. And then we get to decide if we still want to buy the house or we want to back out. Now, the due diligence fee is not owed unless we go under contract. And the due diligence fee is part of your down payment. It goes towards your down payment if you buy the house. It's part of our down payment. If you don't buy the house and you want to back away, the seller keeps that fee because you took his house off the market for 3 weeks, and he gets to keep that to cover all his expenses and his bills. Okay? Very, very important. And how much is the due diligence fee? Great question. It varies. It can be anywhere from $500 to $10,000 to $20,000. It depends how long the house has been on the market. Or I like to tell people, this is a game of chess, not checkers. Every move changes every other move. If the house has been on the market for 65, 70 days, 80 days, clearly we have a better chance of getting to negotiate the price down on the property, right? Same thing with deposits. We can put lower deposits the longer it's been on the market. However, if we're competing with other buyers, it's only been on the market for a day or two, then we want to make our deposits stronger. Generally $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, depending on how much the house costs. And we'll help you figure that out and negotiate that. But we'll have a due diligence fee, which is non-refundable. But if you continue on and buy the house, that goes towards your down payment. Then we have a second deposit, which is called an earnest money deposit. Earnest money is refundable. It's refundable as long as you do it during your due diligence period. So while we're getting our inspections, while we're getting our appraisal done, you can back out for any reason or no reason. Once due diligence ends, once that 3 weeks is up, at that point, if you back out between due diligence ending and closing, which is usually 2 or 3 weeks, then you lose the earnest money deposit. It's the second deposit. But as long as you back out before due diligence ends, you get that second deposit back. And again, that second deposit, called earnest money, goes towards the purchase price of the house. It gets deducted off the total that you're borrowing. Okay? Very, 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 very important. Once due diligence ends, we've got what's called clear to close. We get to celebrate. We're clear to go ahead and get on our mortgage. And then we're going to sign our docs, and it's going to get funded. Okay? Now, very, very important. Also a benefit. When you close on a property, so we're doing this by our consult in June. So if you decide and you close on a property in August, your first payment, you get to skip a month. Your first payment wouldn't be due until October, not September. If you close in August, you skip the next month. So if you close in September, your first payment wouldn't be due till November. If you close in July, your first payment wouldn't be due till September. So you get a month off from making rent or mortgage payments. So you can move in, get organized, get settled. So that's a really, really nice process within the home buying process that you get. Okay. Now, day of closing. Woohoo! Mission accomplished. We've gotten here. We're on it. We've gotten all the way to the process. So 3 days before closing, you're going to get a closing disclosure, so you know exactly how much money you need to bring out of pocket. You're going to get a closing disclosure, and then day of closing, right? You have to bring your ID. We have to go to an attorney's office. You're going to have a hand cramp for about an hour. And at the end of the day, okay, at the end of the day, you will get keys to your house. So plan on putting all the utilities and all the goodies and everything in your name the day after closing. The day after closing, not the day of closing, because it'll be the end of the day of closing. We also recommend that you don't ever try to close on a Friday or the last 2 days of the month. Why? Great question. If you try to close on a Friday, 30% of loans don't close on time. 30%. In fact, it's in the offer to purchase contract that everybody has to play nice for 7 days past the original closing date. And nobody can ask anybody for any money, even though it's going to cost everybody money if we don't close on time. Well, we don't want you mad at us, and we don't want all your friends and relatives showing up on Friday with a U-Haul. Okay? and you not having been able to close, and all of a sudden you lose the weekend, right? We don't want that. So let's close on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or a Thursday. So that way we've got wiggle room. So that way, if it doesn't happen on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, somebody else is going to miss their closing on Friday. We'll slide into their spot and still get you closed before the weekend. But we want to avoid drama. And we don't want to close the last 2 days of the month because we can't get hold of attorneys or lenders if you have a problem, because everybody tries to close the last 2 days of the month to save $8 in interest. So let's avoid that. Let's close on days of the month where we don't have those problems. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. So you're going to go to the attorney's office. You're going to bring your ID. You're going to bring whatever funds you need for closing. And then that day you'll sign everything. And then by the end of the business day, that day, you'll get the keys after you've signed everything. And once it gets recorded and the money's changed hands, then you get the keys. You don't get them that morning when you sign. Okay? Very, 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 very important distinction on that. Now, also, during the buying process, thou shalt not open a new line of credit. Thou shalt not change jobs. Thou shalt not change bank accounts. Don't go buy a car. Don't do anything that's going to affect your credit. Let me give you a real world scenario. This has happened multiple times. Somebody goes into Best Buy to buy a fridge or a washer and dryer because they need those at the new house. Well, they're in line at Best Buy, and the person at Best Buy says, hey, I know you have the cash for that, but we're offering 2 years same as cash. Just keep your money and put it on this credit card, and you can just pay monthly on it. And you're like, yeah, that's a great idea. I've got the cash, but why not use their money for 2 years free? You just open a new line of credit, and that could stop you from getting your loan. Don't do that. Don't go open a line of credit at a furniture store. Don't make any large deposits. Don't co-sign on a loan. The reason I'm bringing all these things up is people have done all these things. They've made these mistakes. Please don't do that. Before you do anything, talk to your lender and make sure they're okay with whatever you're about to do before you do anything that could affect your credit, your income, or your outgo. Fair enough? Okay. Now, we have talked about the home buying process, an agent being your fiduciary, not a salesperson, because most agents feel like salespeople. They're just trying to sell you something. We've talked about the buying process. We've talked about finding the right home. And then we've talked about getting pre-qualified for a mortgage, the value of home ownership, okay? And going through basically the buying process. And an agent will help you book all your inspections, get your appraisal done, all those goodies. If you have any further questions, and if you want to join our Facebook group, feel free. Here's our team Facebook page where you can see properties that come in the market. Also, we've got a CPT wealth group in the middle. So if you're interested in investment properties, we load up educational things on how to analyze investment properties on our CPT wealth group. Okay. And if you want to see our team page, there it is. You can go to either one of those and you can sign up for a consult, or you can sign up on our team page for to get properties sent to your stage. And then lastly, here's our phone number and email address if you want to reach out that way. And we hope to help you. We hope this has been a very helpful tutorial on the buying process in North Carolina. Any questions, shoot an agent or our team a message. And again, this is a phone number you can text. It's a general mailbox. It goes to all of our agents. You can also email me, Chris@pappalardoteam.com. And thank you very, very much for attending. Again, we appreciate you. We appreciate you taking the time to look at this and helping you move forward in the home buying process. We look forward to interviewing for the job. We love to interview the job to help you in buying a home and finding the best mortgage that's right for you. And we appreciate your time while you're here. Thanks. Have a great day. Let me manage recording. I'll get it turned off.